Something unusual is happening at the Chiefs minicamp, the first signs that the preseason may not go as planned. Surprising performances, unexpected slip-ups, and growing tensions are reshaping the outlook for key roster spots. Some names are emerging from the shadows, pushing veterans to prove they still belong, while others face more pressure than they've ever felt in Kansas City's red. Amidst all of this, a few moments, nearly unnoticed by the prying eye, could end up being the turning points of the offseason. Battles are heating up, reputations are being tested, and intensity is already percolating long before training camp. What's happening behind the scenes could shape how this team stacks up in Week 1. But first, be sure to hit that like button and stay tuned for more updates. The Kansas City Chiefs minicamp is underway and some unexpected twists are already lighting up the headlines. Let's start with something that's sure to raise a few eyebrows. Trent McDuffie, the all-pro cornerback and fan favorite, found himself on the wrong end of two big plays during the first day of minicamp. That's right, Isaiah Pacheco beat him deep down the sideline for what could have easily been a touchdown, and not long after, Juju Smith-Schuster outmuscled him to bring in another pass. These aren't the kind of headlines you're used to seeing about McDuffie. But before panic sets in across Chiefs Kingdom, let's take a breath. This is minicamp. There's no contact, no pads, just some highly skilled athletes getting back into rhythm. Still, it was surprising, McDuffie isn't someone who gets beat often, especially not twice in one session. What does this mean long-term? Not much, if anything, it just highlights the competitive spirit in this secondary. Especially with Jalen Watson fully healthy and Christian Fulton, recently signed from the Chargers, already making an impact. Even rookie cornerback Noah Williams, despite some early struggles, shows promise. If anything, McDuffie's rough day underscores just how loaded and competitive this cornerback room really is. Now, switching gears to a rising name turning heads, Tyquan Thornton. The former Baylor Bear and expatriate is fighting hard to earn a final wide receiver spot on the Chiefs roster. He's been impressive throughout OTAs, and now he's even getting special teams reps as a gunner. That versatility might just be his ticket. He's in a heated battle with return specialist Nico Remigio. Nico's made his mark primarily through special teams, but if the coaching staff sees more upside in Thornton as an overall player, even if he's not quite as electric on returns, it could tip the scales in his favor. It's the kind of position battle that makes preseason so compelling. Do you go with experience and known production, or gamble on the greater upside? And while we're on the topic of battles, how about the most closely watched competition of the summer? Josh Simmons versus Jalen Moore for the starting left tackle job. Simmons, the first-round pick out of Ohio State, is still working his way back from injury, but he's making the most of every opportunity. In his own words, he's doing 2-a-days, 3-a-days, rehab, anything to be available. What's more interesting is who Simmons is watching closely, Jalen Moore. The very man he's trying to beat. That respect, that hunger, is telling. Simmons clearly understands the stakes and knows that iron sharpens iron. Even if he starts, Moore could be a candidate to slide inside to guard, further strengthening an already deep offensive line. It's also refreshing to see that character concerns that some scouts whispered about Simmons during the draft don't seem to be materializing. If anything, he's shown dedication and professionalism beyond his years. Let's talk about a name we haven't heard much lately but should absolutely be watching, Marquise Hollywood Brown. Injured early in the 2024 preseason, Brown's return late last year didn't quite live up to expectations. But now, he's healthy, motivated, and focused solely on one thing, showcasing what he can do over a full season. Patrick Mahomes has nothing but praise for him, highlighting his work ethic and influence in the building. If this version of Hollywood lives up to his Baltimore days, over 1,000 yards as a WR1, he could be the X factor in what's shaping up to be the deepest Chiefs receiver group in recent memory. With Rashee Rice poised for a breakout and rookie Xavier Worthy adding speed and versatility, Hollywood doesn't have to carry the load, but he could still be one of the most dangerous WR3s in the league. Then there's the quietly significant addition of Jerry Tillery on the defensive line. Fresh from Minnesota, Tillery is already embracing Kansas City's championship culture. In his own words, the expectations here are sky high, and he's all in. That's what you want to hear from a free agent. He's not looking to coast. He knows he has to prove himself to fit into a system that demands excellence. It's another example of what makes this Chiefs roster so tough. The expectation isn't just to compete, it's to live up to the legacy of back-to-back Super Bowl champions. So here we are, only 2 days into minicamp, and already we've got questions that could shape the 2025 season. Can McDuffie bounce back and reassert his dominance? Will Tyquan Thornton edge out Nico for that final wide receiver spot? Is Josh Simmons ready to take over at left tackle, and what happens to Jalen Moore if he does? Will Hollywood Brown rediscover his game-breaking form? And can Jerry Tillery become the rotational force that solidifies the defensive front? That's the first half of this developing story from Kansas City's minicamp, and it's only going to get more interesting from here. Chiefs Kingdom, I want to hear from you. What do you make of McDuffie's rough start? Who are you rooting for in the wide receiver battle, Thornton or Remigio? And is Hollywood Brown primed for a bounce back? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. As minicamp rolls on, the intensity is only ramping up, and the Kansas City Chiefs are giving us even more storylines to chew on. While the early days focused heavily on standout names and surprise struggles, now the attention shifts to something deeper: culture, leadership, and the expectations that come with wearing red and gold. Jerry Tillery's comments from camp should echo throughout the locker room. A free agent signee from Minnesota, he didn't just show up, he bought in. In his own words, there's a very high level of expectations on everybody. It's important to buy in quickly. That's the Chiefs' standard. It's not about joining a team, it's about entering a championship ecosystem. You either adapt and elevate, or you're out. Tillery is choosing to adapt, and it's the kind of tone that sets Kansas City apart from the rest of the NFL. It's not just about talent anymore, it's about fitting into a system built on discipline, accountability, and winning. And that same culture is reflected in the evolution of Josh Simmons. The whispers before the draft suggested character concerns might have played a role in his slide, but so far, those concerns look completely unfounded. Simmons is outworking expectations, taking every opportunity, big or small, to make an impression. Watching Jalen Moore, learning from his competition, Simmons is playing the long game. Whether he wins the job outright or not, his approach shows the Chiefs made a smart bet. As for Hollywood Brown, his redemption arc may be one of the most compelling of the season. Injuries stole his 2024, but 2025 is a clean slate. And with Mahomes in his corner and a receiver room that includes Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, there's less pressure and more opportunity. Brown could thrive in this setup, especially if defenses are preoccupied with Kansas City's vertical threats. This is a player who could quietly torch secondaries if they underestimate him. All of this points to one thing: the Chiefs are not just aiming to defend a title. They're trying to raise the bar even higher. Every rep in minicamp, every roster battle, every subtle quote from players, it's all a signal. The hunger is still there. And with fresh faces buying into the system, and returning stars with something to prove, the road to a three-peat might be more realistic than people think. So Chiefs Kingdom, I'm throwing it to you one last time. Who are you watching most closely this offseason? Will Simmons lock down left tackle? Can Hollywood Brown surprise the league? Is McDuffie going to remind everyone who he is? Drop a comment with your take, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We've got more exclusive updates coming all offseason long. Go Chiefs!